Insperity presents the Small Business Advocate Show with Jim Blasingame, brought to you by FedEx, CareerBuilder.com, and Palo Alto Software. This is a copyrighted production of Small Business Network, Inc., all rights reserved.
You're listening to a man whose work is never done.
In a job like yours, even when it's finished, there's always one more thing to do.
And his job is to make your job easier.
It's a very difficult job, and the only way to get through it is we all work together as a team. And that means you do everything I say.
He's Jim Blasingame, the Small Business Advocate.
Welcome back, 34 after the hour. Thank you very much for hanging out with me. My pleasure to continue to be with you. Very excited about Nicole Gelinas being back on the show. Nicole is a longtime member of our Brain Trust, our good friend, the author of After the Fall, Saving Capitalism from Wall Street and Washington, From Her Mouth to God's Ears, right, ladies and gentlemen? She is the Searle Freedom Trust Fellow at the Manhattan Institute and a contributing editor to City Journal, and our good friend, as I said, Nicole Gelinas. Welcome back to the show.
Good morning, Jim. Thanks for having me.
It's good to have you back. Nicole, we heard about Tunisia, and most people, I know a little bit about Tunisia. In fact, we know some people from Tunisia. In fact, there's a lady that we've gotten to know in Washington, D.C., that sells us pottery, beautiful pottery from Tunisia. And so we've kind of, Habibi is her name, and we've kind of gotten to know her, and it's been a fun little relationship that we've gotten to know her over the years. And so, and we know some other folks from Tunisia. So when that kind of thing, when Tunisia kind of happened, which in case folks you weren't paying attention, the Tunisian government was basically collapsed, and there was a lot of protesting in the streets, et cetera, et cetera. But I think a lot of people were blindsided by the cascade effect of the Tunisian episode now into Egypt. Do you think, Nicole, do you think that the Obama administration was surprised or shocked or taken by surprise by by what's happening in Egypt right now?
Sure, and we've seen this throughout history. You know, no one predicted you had all of the resources of the CIA looking at Eastern Europe 20 years ago,
mm-hmm.
and it was still a surprise that it fell when it did. And so, you know, it just goes to show you that all of these resources deployed around the world, while very useful, they don't really help us predict things in any kind of timely fashion.
You would think that they would, but apparently they don't, huh?
No, you know, it's the stability. Stability is stable until it's not.
Well, so we all know, I think most everybody knows what's going on in Egypt right now. Hosni Mubarak, and by the way, Mubarak's name means welcome. in Arabic, Mubarak means welcome, and so or like a celebration kind of thing. So Nicole, the Mubarak's been there for 30 years. He's been basically a dictator for 30 years, but he's been our dictator as Americans, hasn't he?
Right, and that's a problem. I mean, there's the perception that the U.S. props up these repressive regimes has not helped us. You know, we all know that Muhammad Atta from the 9/11
right.
ringleader was Egyptian. It used to be that people would associate the repressive dictatorship with the Soviet Union before the Soviets
right.
fell, but after that, a lot of people, for better or for worse, started to associate it with us.
Well, we've been doing, but this is not the first. I mean, the Shah of Iran was our buddy. Saddam Hussein, for goodness sakes, was at a point was a partner with the United States. But in terms of Egypt, they've been getting about $1.6 billion a year, and I saw somewhere that 1.2 or 3 of that was earmarked for the military, which is Mubarak's background. And you know, Nicole, when I was in the Army decades ago, I trained with Egyptians.
Huh.
They came over and trained with us.
Oh, that's kind of
yeah, and so in fact, I remember going through airborne school with some Egyptian. But anyway, the thing is that this Mubarak thing, this Egyptian thing, really shines a light on some of the strange bedfellows that our great democracy has around the world, doesn't it?
Right, and it's interesting that you say that Egyptian army people came over to train here, because one of the possible reasons why the army is not going to fire on its own people is because so many people were trained in America. You know, the younger officers were largely trained in the West, in the U.S., and so it shows you it's complex. I mean, these relations they have negative implications and positive.
So you're making a very interesting point here, that maybe from a democracy standpoint, from a standpoint of chaos not reigning in Egypt right now, maybe our investment dollars in the military in Egypt has helped to contribute to some of that. How about that?
Well,
hold on to that thought. I want to come back. I want to get Nicole's idea, folks, on the cascading potential beyond Egypt for all this going on right now. This is very important, folks. If you're wondering how it connects to your small business, do you buy gasoline? Do you use petroleum products? Hold that thought. 20 till. Stay with us.
Insperity presents the Small Business Advocate Show with Jim Blasingame, brought to you by FedEx, CareerBuilder.com, and Palo Alto Software. This is a copyrighted production of Small Business Network, Inc., intended for the private use of our audience. Except as otherwise provided by copyright law, all other copying, redistribution, or publication without prior written consent is prohibited. All rights reserved. Prohibited. All rights reserved. Prohibited.